The race for the White House is in its final stretch. It will be the first election in U.S. history with the majority of ballots cast before Election Day. But as President Donald Trump and his Democratic rival Joe Biden make their final pitches to voters, there are concerns that millions of mail-in votes won't be counted on time. Jennifer Johnson reports.
Campaigning across two swing states, U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden are in a race to the finish.
This could only happen to me. And how are you doing? We're tied. We're tied. How the hell? How can I be tied?
There's nothing that he can do to stop the people of this nation from voting in overwhelming numbers and taking back this democracy.
Biden, campaigning with former President Barack Obama, is hammering President Trump on the COVID-19 pandemic as new cases break almost daily records, costing about 230,000 Americans their lives. But the president doesn't believe the pandemic will cost him the election, counting on Republican-dominated states and more minority votes.
We have a big red wave that has formed, as you probably noticed. We're doing very, very well with the African-American vote. We're doing very, very well with the Hispanic vote.
There are renewed concerns that millions of mail-in ballots won't be counted on time due to delays, and many Democrats allege fraud within the U.S. Postal Service.
Will these be Republican ballots or will they be Democratic ballots? We just don't know the answer to that question. It's possible that these judicial decisions may hurt Republicans as much as Democrats.
Close to 90 million Americans have already cast their ballots in early voting, a record. Even professional sports teams are opening up their stadiums and arenas to let the masses in.
It's been so long since, we've been able to go to any games or anything, so it's kind of nice being in there, reminding me of good times.
Votes already cast in Texas have soared past 9 million, more than voted in the 2016 election. Never before have more Americans wanted their voices to be heard. The earlier, the better, in an election still 3 days away. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
Many Americans are eager to have their voices heard right now because the country is so divided. The gap between Republicans and Democrats has never been so clear, and that's raising concerns about what could happen after the election. As Sarah MacDonald explains, tensions in some cities, including Portland, Oregon, are already at a boiling point.
You don't have to look far.
Not going to allow the cancer from Portland to spread out everywhere else.
To find the deepening political divide running through Washington state. Tensions hit a boiling point Friday at dueling demonstrations.
Trump finally stands up and says America is a great country.
But not everybody sees it that way, especially in Portland, Oregon. This deeply Democratic city caught in the crosshairs of political posturing and unrest at the height of the racial justice movement.
What is going on?
Which saw federal agents and tear gas targeting protesters and activists like Ty Carpenter.
Tensions are rising, so I think with the election just days away, who knows what's going to happen.
Portland may be one of the most progressive cities in the country, but take a short drive in any direction and you're likely to find yourself in Trump territory. That's where Democrats like David Levin find themselves outnumbered. Suburban parts of the state that swing red, further polarized in the current political climate.
The other side will simply just argue, yell, scream, call names, and I can't even get more than 2 sentences in.
Some Republicans we spoke to, even in strongholds, feel intimidated too.
I do. I'm always shy about saying who I'm going to vote for because of that, and especially with coworkers.
With police presence now heightened statewide at ballot drop boxes in a bid to curb any potential for voting-related violence.
We're kind of scared either way as to what's going to happen.
Some Americans on both sides of the fray are second-guessing if the land of the free will remain home to them.
I have no hope with Trump as he's elected. And I mean, jokingly, we've talked about maybe we need to move to Canada.
And it's now eerily quiet in Portland, in the same streets once dominated by those demonstrations for weeks. Police and the city once again bracing for political unrest, be it anarchists, militant extremists, or everyday people, with just days to go until the presidential election. Robin.
Sarah MacDonald in Portland, Oregon.